Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hyperconscious Podcast is proudly sponsored by our friend and mentor, David Meltzer of the Playbook Podcast. He was kind enough to join us on episode 144 and 135.
Folks, it has become Kevin and I's mission in life to help you realize that the life of your dreams is right on the other side of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. Let us help you do that.
I rarely do these things twice in such a short amount of time, but you guys impress me. I believe in people that provide value and of our service. You two guys are on your way to huge fulfillment, purpose, and profitability, and I look forward to helping you both.
We appreciate that more than you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see that we are in yet again another setup. We are in the Hilton Hotel somewhere in San Diego. We're sitting down with the one and only Anthony Trucks. We said we were going to set this intention, and now we're doing it. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing amazing. I'm actually one of two. So I'm the two and only, one of two. Is that what you do it? Anyway, so my son is named Anthony Trucks also.
Oh, okay.
Different middle name, so we're not the same human. It's not even a junior.
Okay.
So he legit is Anthony Trucks.
We'll see.
So hopefully, nothing crazy happens. Someone's like, is that the same guy? No.
Do you look similar?
Yes.
Do
He's
you?
like my little mini twin. It's creepy.
Well, if you ever get in trouble, you can pawn it off on him.
I'll just put it in. Hey, bro, you go to jail. But if he gets in trouble, maybe I can go to jail for him.
That's
You
low.
better not, because I don't want to go to jail.
That's low. What episode
bro.
did we have?
So for those of you who don't know, we've had Anthony Trucks on the show twice already.
Tres.
And the first one was a while back after HPA Live, remotely. The second one was remote at episode 210. And this is the third one in person.
Live.
We set the intention a long time ago.
Yeah.
And one of the intentions that I set as well when we were unpacking the trunk to come up in this hotel room was I kind of talked to Kevin very briefly about it. We wanted to go into your story.
Yeah.
Because for those of you, on the first episode, you went pretty deep into your story of foster care as a kid.
Yeah.
Some of the tough moments you've been through early on. And I think it's really good because anyone who's gone through a lot in their life, I think when they see where you've come and what you've come from, it gives them belief in themselves. So can you take us through your childhood?
Yeah, man. Go Marty McFly, you guys. First off, I'm going to have to change the entire energy because you want me to go down. I'm in like a loopy mood.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to go to it, man. This might be the perfect time because you're going to get the raw, uncut, real Ant story. So 3 years old. I have weird memories of it, right? Which they're the remnant memories. And as far as I know, they're the true memories from what my little kid brain could, recall. But yeah, man. So 3 years old, my mom calls me from the front of our apartment. We lived in Concord, California. I remember her calling me, and I remember going the whole layout of the house, going through the middle area of the house, back to where the parking lot was. Standing back there with some strange woman. I don't know who this lady was. Still don't know to this day. And then she leans down, gives me a kiss, takes my hand, hands it to this lady. Lady walks me off to this black Crown Vic. And someone you listening right now, you're like, okay, cool, I got this, this situation. Imagine a feeling of the people you love the most, your mom, whoever it is, literally putting you outside the door and closing the door of the house and you can't come back in. As a kid. You're lost, completely scared, no idea what's going on. And then a stranger comes up and takes you and hey, let's go here. So it's the feeling you have as a kid. So that weight of that moment is what starts my life, right? That's what I can recall as the first moment. So I'm giving away, in the system, it wasn't very good. The system is what's called a paycheck back in the day. Essentially what it means is as long as this kid doesn't die, they'll still get paid. And so they didn't feed us. There's houses where they legit put me in a chicken coop and make me chase chickens to catch one to hope I get a meal. They beat me in some houses, put me in carts and push me down hills, make me look at the bottom of kids' shoes, torturous stuff. So like for like a 3-year window, I can remember every single house I went to this day. Like one house, legit, dude, one house, I got there and like the whole week, the family and the kids were all talking about we're going to Disneyland at the end of the week. And I'm a little kid, like Disneyland is like the Mecca. It's like heaven as a little foster kid. Like Disneyland? I've only heard of it and, is it real? Like, so you get to this point where it's all set. I'm like ready to go. And oh, sorry, I'm hitting the mic. And I remember I go out of the house. As I walk out of the house, there's 2 cars, the van, all the kids pile in, and the foster care car. And I'm in that car. And I didn't know until I walk out of the house. So like, imagine like the complete like devastation. And you get picked up, dropped off somewhere new. And you have no idea if it's a good or bad house. So it's just a new, crazy place. Unfortunately, that was one of the bad houses, the next one. So yeah, man, 6 years old, dude, I am just this very emotionally like challenged kid. I have no trust in any adults whatsoever because everyone has steered me clear or wrong or hurt me or lied to me. So I had no reason to be in any way like accepting of any kind of emotional, like positive emotional love or care. And so, yeah, man, I showed up to this house, which was unique because it was the first house I'd been in that was like, they had like kids that weren't mean. Like my brother in the house, my brother's day, this is the house that was my last house. Like he showed me his toys, but we're like super poor. Like we didn't have anything in the house. Like legit like rats and mice and cockroaches. I mean, it was dirty. We didn't have much. But they brought me in. They loved me, cared for me, man. And it was like the first foster dad in that house, a drunk, used to beat my mom. The last memory I have of him in the house is him like punching my mom across her face, her dropping to a knee and him punching her again. And then like she slipped on a banana or something weird. And yeah, man, sure enough, like that was the situation. And then he ended up leaving. She remarried a guy and life got a little bit better. But this whole entire time that I'm with him, I was there from 6 years old until 14. I was adopted at 14. But that 8-year gap was crazy. I have this real mom who's not really in the picture but has control, parental rights, which essentially means that even though she's not in the home, she has control over what I do and don't, play in sports or where I travel to or whatever it might be. And so what ends up happening is like she just ruins my life a whole lot. Misses visitations, doesn't show up when she's supposed to show up. So I think I'm supposed to be like this, loved kid, and I got this foster family, and she just would make excuses as to why they're bad people. So she made me turn on the people that were trying to love me, and she just didn't show up as a mom at any point in time. And so ended up being 8 more years of crazy until I finally got to the point of like, I don't want you to be my mom anymore. Because uniquely what's going on is my mom remarried, and as life got better, I got more scared. So she remarried a guy, got this weird, situation with my real mom. And what's crazy is she, as life gets better, because you're not adopted, it can always be taken from you. There's a fear of things getting better because it would be removed. It's a total fear of success kind of situation. So I had this fear of like, man, I don't want everything to get great because then I'm going to be picked up and move somewhere. So at 14, I finally got a chance to actually sever rights, got adopted, could play football again. So that was kind of like the nuanced area of my life that started into this whole new realm, which is what I do to this day. And with that was now I had this first moment of like, okay, cool. I am now knowing, like I have a knowing that this bed I woke up on, I get to go to sleep on. It was the first time, 14 years old, like I'm going to go to bed on this bed every day. I'm going to worry about leaving, going anywhere. And so it's like a weird thing. Top of that, my mom gets diagnosed with MS. So she was a nurse, she was going to school. And so at this time, like everything's great. Then all of a sudden, like she can't feed herself. Like she'd, pick a spoon to her face and like it would hit her in the chin. Like her patterns, the motor patterns off, and she couldn't be a nurse anymore, couldn't do phlebotomy. And so, it just gets to this point of like it's a whole new opening of the world, and then I get introduced to football for the first time, which is great. I wanted to play it the whole time I was playing, like, recess and beat my buddies because they had to come on. They come on like Fridays with their jerseys and looking all slick. Like, I wanted one of those. And yeah, it wasn't that I was done I could have, and I finally could play. And then they'd all spent like, some 4, 5, 6, 7 years playing by the time that I got to play at 14. And they demolished me. I was not very good at all. Like I could run around with a helmet. I was scared of getting hit. I was not that dude. And then I have all this dynamics going on because even though we're still poor, like I had a paper route. So my first year of football, I paid for. As a kid at 14, like I want to play that bad. I was like, well, mom and dad can't afford it. I'm gonna pay for it. And then like I had a little bit of money to get cleats, so I bought these Nike Sharks. and they were 2 sizes too big. So we got toilet paper and rolled it up, and then I put like Scotch tape around it, and then cut like curves in it so it fit in the front of the shoes. And I put my feet in, and that's how I could, like, my first year of football, dude. I had, like, the Nike Sharks, and that's what 2 sizes too big, running around like a crazy man.
My goodness.
And then we get to the point of finishing that, and I finally have this bit of, like, self-worth. The game gave me some self-worth. I did feel like, okay, cool, I matter. And I think that's one thing we're seeking for a lot of us is, like, where can I find something that makes me matter? Right. So, like, the podcast you guys do, nothing at all. It's wrong to say, like, in this podcast, I matter, right? What you guys do matters to the world.
Of course.
More than anything.
So I sought that out in football.
Right.
We seek it out in relationships. We seek it out in our physique. Like, it's part of the world. It's just, you have to have something that you can, like, this is what I'm. So I mattered in football at that time, and it gave me that self-worth in the world. Good and bad situation, right? Because then that's what I was anchoring it on. Like, as long as I'm doing good in football, I'm a good person. And there's not a delineation of you're still a good person without that thing you do. And so when you've rooted your identity in something that can be taken away at the drop of a dime, like, you got problems because the world can take away. And if it takes away that thing that takes away you, then you don't know why you're here.
Right.
And so football is my thing, man. Next year comes up, sophomore year, I'm in high school, and I'm trying to figure out where I fit because at the same time, like, okay, I'm now the foster adopted black kid in an all-white family. Not so great of an athlete. I'm in high school now. First time I've been around, like, my culture, people that look like me. And then now I'm an Oreo because I don't speak like every black person talks. And then I'm not a white kid, so I'm not over there. I'm also not Asian. And so it's just like you just have these weird things. And although race isn't a big thing, it's a factor in, like, the groups you hang out with. So the only place I could have, like, that sense of community and belonging was sports, football.
Right.
But I wasn't good. So I played the first year, man, and I had, like, the first 3 games balled. I had, like, a whole bunch of touchdowns, and then there's the 4th game. Something happened where I dropped all these balls, and I was just like, everybody hated me. The next week I go to practice, and I drop like another slant. And this guy named Roman Santinelli stands up and says, "Trucks, man, you got effing butterfingers, dude," and just broke my soul. I'm 15 years old, and this was now the world saying, "Hey, we don't love you," because I thought the whole time, like, "Oh, great, they love me, I'm good," and they took it. This is why I say it was good and bad. Because now it's like, all right, the world took it from me, and I tanked. The whole rest of that season, I remember the whole rest of the season, I might as well not even suited up. Like, I was just out there, just like bogged down, head down. Because in my head, I'm like, well, my mom is sick. Like, all the folks is going. My older brother went off to the military, so I'm just hanging by myself. I need to have, like, my brother at the house. I'm not good in sports. No one in our family academically does anything. I'm the only person of all my siblings to graduate without having gone to a continuation school or a GED. I'm one of 6, so I'm the one. There's 5 others in my family that didn't even. So, like, academics is not our thing in the family. Mom, my dad's only 12 years older than me. My mom married my dad super young. He was like 20 when he came into the family. Mom had my brother. My mom had my brother at 14. My grandma had my mom at 15. So she's a 29-year-old grandma. So, like, we're, like, legit. Like,
wow.
I say, like, weird jokes. Like, I grew up like poor white trash. Like, it's a weird, dumb joke, even though I'm a black guy. Like, I grew up with it, bro. And saw at the situation, like, I'm done. Like, football, bad. Like, I'm not doing too well. So I tank, bro. I legit commit to, like, I'm just going to sleep through class till they kick me out of school. And that's going to be my story. That was going to be me. Statistically, if you look at any prison in America, 75% of the inmates are former foster kids. I think like 51% of the homeless population, former foster kids. 3%, I think, at most will ever graduate college. So numerically, I am not set up to win. I'm not supposed to be successful by any stretch. And then if you look at football, 0.00001, percent ever make it to the league.
Right.
So, like, it's not supposed to be in the cards for me. I'm like a weird. If you put all the numbers together, like, I don't exist kind of number, like oddity, outlier.
Plus, you weren't naturally talented at the sport.
Oh, no.
You had to work.
Right.
So how? Just keep going. This is absolutely unbelievable. So how did you progress from there?
So I got to this point where I'm sitting in Mr. Howell's English class. We share the same birthday. I don't know if you care, but we do. Mr. Howell was like a hippie dude. He was an English teacher. And he was a cool dude. To extent, like, his thing was if you just got all the homework done by the end of the year, you can get an A. He's like, if you didn't do anything all year, but you turn it all in, he's like, you had to do it. So hey, you get an A. So he didn't really care. I remember I was sitting in the back of his class and I would sleep. I'd bring this black parka that I got for I don't know, my mom got her some gift or something, like it might have been the holidays, and a bag of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. I just sit there in class.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Eat
Shout
it,
out.
bro.
Respect.
Hey,
Respect.
Much love, General Mills. Is it General Mills?
I think
it
it's
is.
General Mills, yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. Good on you, Aunt. I get that foggy, like, late brain. And so I just sit there and I eat cereal, and so I'm looking like I'm sleeping one day. And these two girls are sitting next to me in this love seat that he put back in the back corner. I was as far away from his desk as I could be, and so was this couch. And one girl says, well, the reason I'm so bad is because I'm in foster care. And to a lot of people, it's like, okay, so she said some words. But if you think about it, the way that I was playing it in my head is that's the excuse I've been giving myself as to why I was just going to, like, let it all ride, like, not do anything. And when you hear your excuse out loud
Right.
and you hear how stupid it is, like, dude, that is a game changer. Like, for a lot of us, like, if you just go home and, like, you just say, like, someone says, hey, can you do whatever? And then, like, oh, I can't for whatever it is. And you go back privately and say it out loud, what you just told that person, you're like, that sounds dumb. Like,
Right.
a lot of the time it's a stupid excuse, but you never hear it out loud.
Right.
So, like, go say it out loud. Like, oh, I can't because it's too late and I want to get to sleep. Like, bro, shut up. Go do the work, you know?
Right.
So, in this moment, like, she said the thing that, like, it landed on my heart. Like, wow, that's a dumb-sounding excuse. And so I remember I went home, and my dad was is a welder. He'd welded this weird, crappy little dumbbell. Like, it was all tilted, but it was a dumbbell. I still have it. I still have this dumbbell, by the way. It's hella cool. It's like a big paperweight. It might weigh, like, maybe, like, 13.7 ounce. I don't know. It's
I was gonna land on 13.
super high. It's
Yeah.
not even like, it's like you could tell he was practicing welding stuff. Still got it, bro. And I was sitting at the edge of my bed, and I would do bicep curls, and I had like this mirror at the edge of my bed, where if you stood up, I could do my hair. Because back then I was dipping, bro. I had the waves. We had to brush the waves, cuz.
Right.
I tell you. And so I would just sit there and, like, you know, I'd do my curls. And I remember I stood up. I just looked, like, legit into my pupils. First time I ever did it, I was like, Aunt, you're gonna be great. I had no idea at the time what that meant. It's just like, you're going to be great. Like, because it had weighed on me the whole day. Like, this thought of, like, damn, is that, like, it felt gross.
Right.
That's what it was, felt gross. And I was like, dude, you're going to be great. And so my version to be great literally was like, well, I don't know what to be great. Two things, you know, back in the day, I could, you know, go get some girls. Because back then you had to ask for phone numbers. You had to go ask girls' phone numbers. And, like,
Right.
you want to go snowball, like, skate around the roller rink?
Right.
Like, that's what I used to do.
Skate around the roller rink.
Bro, roller rink was fire, dude.
Right,
Like,
yeah, right.
We used to get down on the
I
rink,
remember
man. You had to go across and, like, you go ask, hey, you want to go skate with me? You skate with them, and it's like, it's gross and weird, like, you're just holding hands. Anyway, you get it. We love little kid stuff. To this day, like, little kid love makes me sick. My wife gets it. I don't know what it is. Like, when I look at a little kiss, I'm like, ugh, gross. I don't know why. I don't even know why. I couldn't tell you. And so, yeah, man, I had this thought of, like, that. Or other thing to be great at, football. I'm like, I'm going to be great at football. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to figure this out because I love this thing. I'm like, I think a lot of us, we get to the point of there's pain with the pursuing of a passion, so we quit it early. There's pain in the process, so it's like, I don't want to feel that pain. I don't want to have to keep getting up and get knocked down, right? Because it's one thing to get up, but, like, don't put yourself in a position to get knocked down again. That's logic, right?
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, realistically, it's like, but you got to if you want to have that as your end result.
Right.
And so as a kid, I figured out, I'm like, well, I got to try this again, although it sucks. I'm going to put myself back in the fire, but, like, I know what the vision of me being great looks like as far as I could see. I thought
Did you have anybody in your life at that time that truly believed in you?
No.
So how
I mean,
what
my
was,
mom loved me. They
Right.
loved me.
What was that process like for, like, that day where it was like, because that's the shift.
Yeah.
That's the day that everything turned around for you.
It was the catalyst to it. It was the decision point. Because my mom, like, no one in my family are athletes. Most are obese. You know, to be honest, like, of the other family members, all but maybe one was, like, overweight, weight problem. So there's no athletes in the family. When I was getting my scholarship later on, my mom and dad had no play in it. They're like, I was like, well, what should I do for college? Oh, whatever you pick, we'll support. Like, do you want to help me out? Like, oh, you got it. You know, like, I'm the only one to graduate. My entire family, not my mom, my aunt, my uncles, none of their kids, none of them ever graduated college. It's just me. None of my siblings. So, like, this is all new uncharted waters as a foster kid with no support. Like, legit weird. Like, my wife and I don't know how I operate as a human or how I even got here. Like, it's just an awkwardness of my life.
It's fascinating.
It is
sure.
fascinating for me, to
Please.
be honest.
When you look back, I keep interrupting, but, like, So we're in San Diego at Brendon Burchard's event, Influencer. You're speaking tomorrow. We were lucky enough to see you speak at High Performance Academy last year.
Right.
What is that like? Like, do you ever pinch yourself and say, where the hell, like, how did this all happen?
Yeah.
And you're also the most humble dude ever. It's like, it doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah, no. I don't know where humble fits. It's just me. So I think part of it, what you see now is the guy that went to the level of collegiate guy on billboards in the NFL. Everybody wanted my autograph.
Right.
And then you do it, and then you lose that, and you realize, like, oh, like, that's all it was? All right. What's going to bring me joy? And what brings me joy is just being me,
right,
and not seeking all those things that I got to experience and realize, like, there wasn't much more joy. And so, like, yeah, I mean, the pinch myself, it's cool. Like, hell yeah, it's cool. I love what I do. But at the end of the day, I enjoy the process of life more than I enjoy the big, mountaintops. Because you spend more time on the journey. We do. Like, if you're climbing a mountain, you'll spend far more time on the process up and down than you will on the peak.
Right.
It's just the nature of it. But we're all fighting and thinking, well, if I get to the peak, it'll be great, and then I'll be joyous and everything. And then at the same time, like, if you think about it, you go climb Everest, you don't do it alone. You got to get, like, the Sherpa. Are they Sherpas?
Yeah.
Those guys.
Right.
Whatever. You get those. They help you. It's people to help you.
Right.
Someone who's an expert.
Right now, if you were, like, walking up and, like, tripping that guy the whole way and kicking him in, like, being mean to people around you who's trying to help you, you're going to die.
Ooh, that's a great
up.
analogy.
That is a great analogy.
So for me, it's like, I just made that up, bro.
That's super simple,
I
but
just made that
powerful.
up.
Yeah, you're never going to get to Everest without help.
All day long, my brain's like this. So, like, at the end of the day, I'm like, dude, I always want to be of great service to humanity, because I don't like the energy of that in my life. So I don't have any, this is Anthony. And there's days when I'm not the nicest guy in the world, and I'll accept that, and I'll apologize for it. But it's very few of those. But the majority, it's like, dude, if you give, it's like life has always been a mirror to me. Whenever I was a kid and I was, like, bad and angry and mean, the world was bad, angry, and mean. Whenever I was good, the world was good. So I create the world I live in. Yes, I live in a world where there's certain opportunities I don't get because of the color of my skin. Cool, right? Certain things I have to work harder for, right? But at the end of the day, dude, if you just show up and I don't have weird, like, negative energy of that thought, lo and behold, great stuff happens. And it's not by accident. So I just give out good, and the world gives me good. And yes, I might have to work harder. So what? Like, that means the end's going to be sweeter for me. And so I perceive the world way different than everybody else does. And so what you see as humble, I just see as, like, normal, because the other option is, like, doesn't make logical sense. Like, what am I going to gain from trying to be, like, better or act better? Like, I still carry my bags whenever people pick me up in, like, cars. Like, getting out here, I had, like, the guy at the foot of the escalator, and, got my name, and it's like, carry your bag. No, I got it, man. I can carry my bag, bro. I'm going to carry all my kids' bags when I leave here.
Right.
Like, there was one speech. My wife owns a group home for, individuals with disabilities, and we do overnights there sometimes. And I'm certified to actually help these people, like, overnight, support them. There's legit one speech where I left, like, a San Diego, signing autographs and all that good stuff. I got in a flight, and I went home, and I landed, and I went right from the airport, went in, said hi, and I went in to the group home. And that night, one of the kids crapped the bed. I'm cleaning the kids' crap, and I'm like, not even 8 hours ago, I was signing autographs. And now I'm cleaning this kid's poop. Like, talk about humbling experiences.
Yeah.
Like, this is real life.
Right.
And so I think there's that I don't want anybody to think, at least for me, that there's this pedestal or some amazing, like, you get to that level, this facade, like, oh, he's there, you've arrived. Like, no, I love my life, and I love the process, and I love the journey. I'll share all of that, and I'm also going to share the craziness, but I don't want someone to seek that next level and then have seen me and, like, thought it was all, this is all amazing and berries and strawberry and like, oh, it's not that. So, like, this is me. This is really what it is. This is generally, it's just a guy sitting in a chair, hanging out and talking, but I have a different level of control of my life because I've created income and I create impact, and it fills my soul.
Right.
And I have a loving wife that takes a lot of energy to create a relationship, and I'm a present dad. Like, these are all parts of my life that took a ton of time, but I'm still a regular dude. So it's just a different perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you are enjoying this episode where we are lucky enough to sit down in person in California at our hotel room with the one and only Anthony Trucks. One thing that Alan and I are very quickly learning is that questions can change your life if you answer them correctly. At the Mass Maritime speech afterwards, we had a bunch of kids that came up to us and said, "Thank you guys so very much. You have me questioning all sorts of things now." Imagine if you were getting asked those questions every single week by Alan or myself. We both have a few coaching spots remaining. Alan's coaching is on peak performance and fitness, and I coach on mindset, how to become the most hyper-conscious version of yourself, and also how to create and sustain and grow your own podcast. So if you're looking for coaching, reach out to Alan or myself, and we hope you will enjoy the rest of this episode.
You FaceTimed your family while we were setting up.
Yeah,
that was one of the coolest experiences
They were FaceTiming
ever.
just now, bro.
I saw.
Yeah, they were FaceTiming.
I was gonna say we're gonna go live with them.
Yeah, we could have, but no.
What was it like for you? I'm feeling very Joe Rogan today because people were talking. Jesus,
Do
it'd be
it,
nice
bro.
if I could stop smacking the mic around. Because I heard stuff about Joe Rogan today, and I think this is a question like it makes me want to ask, thinking that he would ask it. Everybody thinks, not everybody, but a lot of people think money is the key to happiness. What was it like when you first made like money and you looked at your bank account and said like, "Oh shit"?
Oh man, it's a couple responsibilities. Because one, like you've never seen like lots of zeros. It's like, what do I do with all this now? And then you start thinking like, I gotta be frivolous with it, and then it can disappear quick. And I mean, coming from the NFL, 73% of guys go bankrupt within the first like 3 to 5 years or something like that. Crazy, like so it can be burned through. I think the big thing for me is like I had a base of who Anthony was. I've always kind of been this guy. Who you see now is like still the weird kid. Same guy, just had different responsibilities. Same guy, different responsibilities, right? And I think part of like my jovial heart and happy and not being callous while still being a big, strong, very anchored guy, like I still have a power with that kind of playfulness. So like there's certain levels where like I'll switch. If we're in a situation where I need to be a different guy, he'll pop out immediately. Like if I got to be protective of the family or I got to get into a mode, or you're like your precedent's feeling uncomfortable. Like I'll demand attention. I'll do what I got to do in that moment.
Right.
But this is Anthony, and so it's always been the money. I think it always is something that just magnifies who you are.
Right.
And so I've never been any different than this guy. Give me money, take away the most I'll do. Like when I bought a new pair of Chucks. I did. I got a pair of white Chucks. I'm like, I've always wanted a pair of white Chucks. I could have bought this pair of white Chucks for the last 5 years and bought like 100 of them. I have the same pair of black Chucks for 7 years. I do. They got like holes in the side. The sole's got a hole, but it's like if I can still rock them, I'll rock them. Now I'm not cheap. Because I also have like Louis Vuitton bags because they're nice. And I'm like, I'm going to get one set of bags I can wear and take with me. Right? So it's like, but I don't sit back and think that because I have money, I am better or different. It's the same guy, but I think what it did, it removes the stress of money and allows you to have more time to become who you really are.
So you're the identity guy. So why do you believe we have sometimes... I noticed this... Who was it? One of my mentors recently, Dr. Robert Scott. We had him on the show.
We did.
He lives in he's done politics. He's been an author. He's very wealthy and affluent, and he's seen basically a lot of different generations. And he's been parts of a lot of different communities. He's a theologian and all that too. He was talking about how one of my favorite things about you, Alan, is that not only are you intellectual, but you basically you figured it all out yourself. Mm-hmm. You didn't come from privilege, so to speak. And there's certainly a lot of things that were in my benefit. I don't want to ever make it seem like I came from as difficult of a circumstance as you did or anything like that. But the point is this, like, he talks about elitism and how a lot of people that are very, very wealthy that went to all these private schools, that meritocracy, the education that they were given, it comes with this sort of like...
I'm better than thou.
Right. This stick your nose...
Hits. Bro, zombie apocalypse, I'm killing all of them first.
Wait, what's up?
Huh?
Oh, right. The elitism?
Zombie apocalypse, bro. They're out there trying to get there. Oh, bro, I'm going to get some zombie bullets. Yeah, anyway, I'm just messing around.
No, I know. So...
Am I?
Right. So the nose up thing.
Yeah.
Of like judgment.
I've been around that.
You're an identity person. So where is that coming from? Why are people like that and you're not, even though you're wealthy? Is it because you came from so much hardship? Like, what's your take on that?
I have a great deal of gratitude because nothing was given to me. Like, so I understand. I think there's for me when I look at those people, I've been around a lot of wealthy people, right?
Right.
and what they have is their wealth. That's it. I have way more than that. Like it's not just the money thing. Like I have a set of skills that are very different. Like I'm gonna give you the transparent Anthony.
Okay.
I think I'm one of the most dangerous types of human beings in America because I have a brain that operates really well. I can think and process. I'm not an ugly human being. I have the ability to talk like clearly, and I have an eloquent speech of what I do. I have a charisma that I don't know where it came from. It's just what I am. I don't have a massive fear above a lot of stuff, and so in a sense, and I'm an African American man, and it's weird. Most black guys are like they think it's like a problem or a bad thing. Do we have like we're athletic? People think we're cool. We got culture. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
bro, like we it's easier to build muscles and stuff. Right. You know, like what is
right,
dude,
right.
what is so wrong with this? So I think it's my perspective of like they turn their nose up, but I've been around a lot of those people, and who do they want in the golf team when it's golf tournament time? The black guy that played sports. Like, so it's like when you can play into and lean into, I think in this space, I lean on the fact that yes, I have like the ability as a human to do like things that nothing really scares me at this point. I'm not dead, and I've done a whole bunch of weird stuff that you'd think would kill you,
right?
Or you're scared to death of it. But like I roll through, I'm like, I'm not dead. I can create something cool, and then at the same time, I can make money, and I make money. So it's like you start to figure out what really matters that to them like doesn't really matter, which is the money and what I can buy and the car and everything. Like I don't even do anything. Like, I don't buy rims for my car because what happens, I've noticed a lot of those people that it's all the keeping up with the Joneses at the fullest, and it's a never-ending path.
Right.
Got to get a nicer car, a nicer watch, a newer this and a newer. It's like it's a path you're always trying to fill up, and it's like your self-worth we talked about earlier is rooted in that thing you have. And for me, I don't care about any of it. Like I don't care about the things that like you would see me and be like, oh, he's doing great. So I don't buy rims for my car anymore. Like I don't really wear like jewelry. Like I don't buy anything for the purpose of somebody looking at me and saying, oh man, that guy's got stuff. Right. I'll work out so I look good naked. I'm not gonna lie. That's about the extent, because that's the one thing where I can see how you carry like your self-worth of who. When you don't care about your body, I can tell you don't care much about yourself to an extent.
Right.
And so for me, like I haven't got to that point because I want to have been around it enough to watch what it does, and I don't like those humans. And you don't want to become what you don't like.
Right.
Which is a good and a bad thing. So some people, they demonize people with money.
Right.
They say, well, they're all bad people, all who have money.
Right.
When the reality is not the case. There's a lot of phenomenal people with great amount of income that are solid humans.
Those speakers,
Right.
they seem like they have pure intention.
Oh,
truly, yeah.
Yeah.
Brendon has a high standard of
Huge,
integrity.
bro.
Yeah.
The people he puts around. So you have this high level of humans that are like, make good money. So you can't demonize money, right? But you can demonize what you do with it and how you look and what you. So I've been around some people that make money and they get that schmuck to them, and I'm not around them anymore.
What do you think creates that from an identity standpoint? Like, why are they like that? Is it deep rooted pain? Like, from your perspective,
I don't think I think it's they don't know how to handle arriving.
They don't know how to handle what?
Arriving. So I arrived in football, right? I was on billboards. I was I had autographs getting signed. I played in the NFL. I arrived, and I got to see what it was to arrive. So like had I not torn my shoulder, I'm in a Super Bowl and I have a ring with the Steelers. So it's like I've seen what it's like to get to a high tier, been there, and like realize like I'm just a dude.
Right.
I'm just a perspective. Like I'm still a dad. My wife's still gonna nag me, like I still gotta get my tires changed. Like it's just I'm a dude.
Still got the honey-do list,
right? And then and it's like guys like for example like Tom Bilyeu, hell of money. Let's just be honest. I don't know what he makes. It's ridiculous, but he's a
hella
good
bucks. Oh god,
dude.
Yeah, right.
He's
Like,
great, dude. Yeah,
solid human. You see him behind the scenes. He cares. Like he's a solid. And I love the fact that he's like. For most people who have much money as him, you'd probably think that like they buy like a yacht and they'd be. Dude, he's wearing like you'd look at him and be like that dude just left like the Foot Locker.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just chill, regular guy.
what are you playing
loves
for?
that jacket.
Like, what are you at this point? So you travel, you're away from your family. Like,
Yeah.
What are you playing for at this point?
More of what I do now, which I don't know if it's more. I think more is probably the wrong word. The ability to continue to do what I do now. I love my life. Like I got a wife that I love to death. She doesn't really care what I do, which is cool. and for a while, I wanted her to like, you get on board, support this, know what it is, and like she doesn't, and that was a problem because I was like trying to force her to do something she didn't want to do. But she does things that make her happy. She's playing softball today.
Right.
And I'm doing what I do. I speak. We'd have a vacation, leave Sunday, but I'm coming back happy. She's coming back happy. There's no arguments. Like it's like when relationship has two people who one's draining the energy from the other one, it falls apart.
Right.
We had that in the past. And so now we come happy, so it works. And then my kids, they kill it in sports. I get to spend time with them every day. I drop them off at school in the morning. I pick them up. We do dad days. Like we take trips together. We do all the things that everyone takes for granted because they think the money is the answer. And money is just a facilitator.
Right.
My income facilitates that.
Right.
So only thing I would want more of is, at this point, the reason I want more wealth is so I can give that to my kids with certain guidelines of how they will be able to have access to that kind of fund.
Okay, right.
So like the funds. I don't want to give them money because they don't comprehend and appreciate it.
Right.
And the appreciation part is how I think the nose up happens.
Exactly.
I don't appreciate it. Therefore, I don't understand that this like it's a gift. Therefore, I think I'm entitled. So I'm entitled to this, and I got a problem. And so my little kids, they do some crazy, weird little stuff like, that's my thing. Like, no, I own everything you own. I let you use it.
Right.
That's how it works.
Right.
That's my bed. So my shoes, Tatum. Like, hey, son,
Right.
that's my iPhone. It's your number, and your friends are in my iPhone. I'll take it anytime I want. So
Right.
entitlement gets away real quick, right?
Right.
But then what happens is I'm working now to create generational wealth. That's also something that is not taught in America.
Exactly.
When did
So-
you transfer from football mind to, like, when did you start growing like a really, really big business mind? Because you were saying like there's a lot of stuff coming. You're telling us
Yeah.
behind the scenes, and it's like, when did you get that mind to
man.
really focus on business?
Right.
It's always, I think it's that mind's always been there, but it turned on when I got to survival mode. So survival mode in football is get better at football in a playbook, right?
Exactly.
And then, so as a kid, I was always an entrepreneur in a weird way. Like I mow lawns, legit would go and mow lawns and do yard work and get paid nothing, paper route. Like I was trying to find ways to buy things, sell things. I was kind of like the guy that just, I had to make money because we were poor.
Right.
If I wanted something, I had to pay for it.
Right.
I couldn't rely on mom to get it. I wanted it. I'm not going to go steal stuff. I tried that. It didn't work very well. I did as a klepto as a kid. I skipped that part. I used to steal stuff all the time. Bad.
I think we knew that
Did we?
somehow. Did we talk
'Cause
about
I'm
that
black?
at some
I'm
point?
just
No. There's
a teaser clip.
Right. Yeah. Right.
No, I was klepto, so I worked for stuff. I wanted to figure out how to earn and work. In fact, when I was a kid in like 5th grade, I stole a coin from Alcatraz. We went on a field trip, and then years later, like maybe 3 years ago, 30 years later-ish, or maybe 20-some years, I went back and paid for it. I gave the teller like $20, whatever it was. Like, what'd I do with it? Like, I don't know, but it's paid for. Like,
Yeah. Right.
my conscience is clean. Run away. So I lost my train of thought. I don't know what we're talking about right
Well,
now.
you mentioned
Business.
Oh yeah. So then you get to the point of so later on, it was never survival to figure out. But then I got out of football and I started a gym business. So the gym business, it was like a microcosm of the real world, and I say it like it's like a small little bubble I got to go into that was necessary for me to sink and swim. So like if I got a job, which I had a job for a week as a personal trainer, 24-hour fitness, and I hated it. I didn't want a job anymore. Like I had a boss as a coach for years.
Right.
I wasn't for it. I never growing up did. I don't do well with it. Like I don't do well. Not that I don't do well with authority. I respect authority, but I don't do well with control over me.
Right.
It's not something that fits my life really well. Just me personally.
Right.
And so I got out, opened a gym business, and just by sheer survival. Like, so I get to the point where in the first 9 months of my gym business, I was about to go bankrupt. Hadn't paid rent for 3 months. I had no plan of making more money. I was completely stuck. Had no business mind. I had this assumption that, well, I played professional football and I had some money, so I put into this, and like, I'm Anthony Trucks, right? It's my hometown.
Right.
And then 9 months later, like, nobody cares, right?
Right.
So I'm like sitting there like, dude, if the guy rolls up on a Harley, gives me an envelope, says, your name Anthony Trucks? Yeah. Shows me the eviction papers from the landlord. 2 weeks to pay or quit, they call it. And so you have 2 weeks to pay what you're owed, which was $16,000, or you have to leave, evict the whole place. And then if you leave, they immediately come after you for the entirety of the rest of the lease. For me, it was like $250,000, and I didn't have that. It was all gone because I put all in this business. And so what ends up happening is I had $4,000 in the bank. Wife wouldn't let me use any more money. I don't think we even had any more. The house, like we have, like couldn't we pay a mortgage? We ended up having a short sell our house a little while later. We were in some crazy straits, and I get to the point where I got nothing, and I find this coach who's like $6,000 to work with him, and I had 4. All right, I'm gonna owe you 2, man. So I figured like the only way I was gonna get out of this was if I got information I didn't have. That was the start of it.
Wow.
Because I was everything I'd known.
You
had
paid
got me here.
$6,000 for a coach when
I
you were
paid-
about to be bankrupt?
Yeah, I paid. Well, I paid
That's
the
a
4.
gutsy call. That's
I had
courage,
the 4.
huh?
My wife was livid. I paid the 4 I had to somebody who I still owed him 2. I didn't have the money.
And that was a
didn't know
turning
that.
point for you?
Yeah. So what he did is
Wow.
he gave me stuff to do that I really didn't want to do. It wasn't in my identity at the time.
Right.
He's like, make this list, call some people, ask for help. I'm like, no, bro, I'm Anthony Trucks. I don't do that. Like
Right.
I don't want them to see me sweat. He's like, you're sweating though. So I was like, all right. So I made these calls, bro, like pulling teeth. And I made the calls, and within the first week, I'd gone from like nothing. I think I brought in like $3,000 the next month because we were only bringing in like $4 or $5,000, and that was before paying bills. I had nothing left to pay anything.
Right.
We were making like $7,000 a month. So like I figured out how to make a little bit more. Made some calls. By I think 4 months later, we had tripled the income. So quadrupled.
Wow.
7. It was like $27,000, $28,000.
What were some of the shifts that you made in the business that made that happen?
So it was a couple things. One, it was systems. How do I duplicate the experience of a person walking in the door?
Right.
How's a tour done? What do they talk to about? Like, how do you present it to them? So I can tweak that.
Right.
So I could track the numbers of it. So if we
Right.
have 100 people come in, how many sign up? 20. How do we know that the next 20 will sign up? I don't know. You have
Right.
no business. You're just in there talking to people. So we fine-tuned that.
Right.
Lead generation was big, and in simplicity and get on the phone. It's a weird lost art that people like don't get on the phone with people.
Right.
And if you expect in a gym for someone to come and work with you, if you can't talk to them on the phone, how are you going to train them in person?
So true.
So for me, it was like a lot of it was how do I get in the phone? So it made me make an ABC list. And this is something I actually have clients do in the beginning when they're trying to get started, even in the coaching world. But ABC is A's are people that are ambassadors. They know you, what you're doing. They've already experienced your work. B is people who know what you do, but haven't worked with you yet. C is people who have no idea who you are, what you do. This is people you collect phone
Cold.
numbers, right?
Right.
You get a business card somewhere, you network, you meet somebody, they kind of just shake your hand. The goal is to move C's to B's, B's to A's. The way you do it, and then anybody that's an A, give you more C's.
Wow.
So I called the C's, said, hey, I know you don't know who I am, what do I do? My name is Anthony Trucks. I have his company. We're down here located. I would love to introduce you to what we do. You move them to a B because now they know what you do, haven't experienced it. The B's, it's like, hey, I know you haven't taken advantage of this. We're doing a special, whatever it is, check it out, come here, try it out, move them to the A column, have taken advantage of it, have done it. May not be an ambassador, but they at least have tried it, right?
Right.
And then A's, you're saying, hey, do you know anybody? And it's A's, you ask for help.
Right.
I really need some help right now. The
Right.
business isn't going where I want it to go. Do you know anybody that might benefit from what I do?
Right.
And then they'll give you either, oh yeah, I want to try it out, again, or try it back, whatever it may be, any deals I can get, or I do got someone who's been asking, and the A's kill it. Like the A's, bro, was what
This
changed
is
the
networking.
business.
That's networking.
It is
in a
and it isn't.
nutshell.
Because you actually just dig into the first part's dig into your phone.
Right.
Because all of us have 250, 300 people on our phone.
Right.
Find a list of 100. That was the hardest part. You go through the phone, you're like, I know I got to put people down, but I don't want to call that person. I don't want to call that person. I don't want to call that person. You just put their name on a list.
Right.
So you just don't even think about who they are, what the conversation's going to be like. Put their name on a list.
Right.
And then you start calling. And then you'd be
Powerful.
surprised. It's is.
What does A, B, and C stand for again? So
Nothing.
ambassadors is A. Oh, okay. So you're always trying to move them up to A's. And then
It's just, it could easily be like XYZ, 1, 2, 3,
okay.
Twinkle Twinkle Toes. I don't know. It could be anything.
So you hired a coach,
Hired
and
a
that
coach.
helped you shift your identity, and then you got to a whole new
Wasn't
level
identity.
of
I
life.
think the identity. So that helped me. Yes and no. So it helped me shift a piece of it. There's 10 segments of your identity, but it helped me shift a portion of it, which was I don't do cold calls. That's not
Right.
what Anthony does. I don't ask people for help. To where now, like, oh, that's what I do.
Right.
And that is a part of it. Didn't shift the entire persona of Anthony. I still had problems. At that time, I was still navigating a lot of life stuff. But yeah, it was the catalyst to comprehending, like, okay, there's going to be things that someone else knows that I don't know. They're going to ask me to do things I don't want to do, which do them, because why hire them to not do what they tell you to do? And then in doing them, not only do they become skill sets, they become parts of your identity you'll protect.
Interesting.
You get to the point of like, I have pride for this thing. Tom talks about the chip he was talking about yesterday.
Right.
You get this chip, and it's the pride center of who you are.
Right.
And you'll protect that with your identity. Like you guys, we have the Hyperconscious podcast, right? And it's a good thing. It's really your ego is what it is. But people think it's all negative. It's not all negative.
Right.
There's a negative part that shows up, but the positive part is my ego of being phenomenal podcasters, what I do.
Right.
I travel with mics and stuff. I make connections.
Right.
I set it up. I do it. That's what I do.
Right.
And so that's it. Like I hit the gym. I'm a guy that's in shape. Part of my identity is I'm in shape.
Right.
Therefore, it's not stressful to do things that people look at you and say, how do you do that?
Right.
That's just who I am. It's a natural. And so it's your identity. Life becomes easier. Success becomes your second nature in that area, at least.
Right.
But that comes because you're putting the time in. So you get the skill set. Then you get the ownership internally of like, that's who I am.
If you could create, so we're at 43 minutes. I want to make sure we get you home so you can get some sleep.
Yeah.
If you could create somebody successful and you could only use like 3 attributes, what do you think the most important 3 attributes are for success?
Fire question.
And I know, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is the last question. It's the hardest one, but
I think I got it. I'll call it pain, purpose, and promise. Right? So you need to have a sense of pain because not even that you need to have like avoidance of pain, but you need to understand what the pain will look like and what it'll feel like from a pain point in just life. So I think pain is a great teacher. Like it is, whether dogs have shock collars, right? Pain's a great teacher, but I think like having pain in life gives you the appreciation, right?
Right.
A purpose, which means I know what I'm doing and why. Because success, a lot of it's dialed into like, do I know why I'm doing this?
Right.
Right.
Like if I don't know why I'm doing this, I'm not going to do it. Think of little kids. Do that. Why? I don't know. I don't want to do it then.
I know. And that's why they're always asking why.
Yeah,
Why?
they
Why is
wanna know.
that? Why is that?
As athletes, like, hey, go do this, this, and this. Why?
Right.
What's the purpose of that
Yeah.
motion, right? And with you, if you know it, like, because in this play right here, if you blitz here, he does that, we're gonna get it. Oh, I got it. I'm bought in, right? I buy in. And the promise, and this question I ask in my podcast is, what promise did God make the world when He created you? So there's a purpose of what you think they're supposed to be done, like the drive of why, but there's also the promise made for your life. And when I look at that, like the promise of what we were created for, what you truly deem you were created for, it's a promise you cannot break because that's the one that breaks you at your deathbed. I gotta know that the promise that was made for me to do X or do Y or do like my promise for the world is to be like a walking, talking example of like life can get crazy, but you can create something crazy from that. And so like that's like the promise God made was like, hey, just show up, bro, and be you, and then live your life how you live your life. I'm an oddity because I look a certain way and I talk a different way and I have different tastes and different stuff, and I don't lean into that and like try to be weird.
Right.
It's just me. And so there's a promise that was made for my life, and I don't want to get to the end of my life and have that promise been broken. So like I think if you're asking how do I create success, like have a really legacy, based mind, a purpose-based, whatever you're driving towards, then have some pain so you appreciate it all.
My goodness. So
right, that was a fire answer.
well, that was wow. This whole episode was amazing.
Yeah, this was.
This will be very short. I know everything
Yeah.
good starts with that. I just wanted to ask you one simple question, super fast, which is, you grew up in so much uncertainty. Do you think that's why you ended up the identity guy? Because you were trying to find yours?
I wasn't trying to find it, and I accidentally happened across this.
Okay.
It wasn't so. I'm in a mastermind with a bunch of cool guys like Brendon and Dean
Right.
and Ethan, all those guys, and Lewis and Trent. And I could keep naming names. I love you guys if I don't talk about you. Just know that. I had a brand called Trust or Hustle for a while. So what I did was all about trust or hustle. It was my
Right.
life, right? It's a very quick, like quippy statement. But then they challenged me. Ethan was like, "Yeah, you're the messenger, but the message, I don't like it."
Right.
And so in that moment, I'm like, what are you talking about, man? It's like my baby. I've been 5 years deep in this, bro.
Right.
And I was legit.
Right.
But I'm the identity shift guy. So in that moment, I sat with it and I was like, all right, typically in my life, when something feels right, we don't trust the gut. We're like, we question. The brain comes in and says, hold on, heart, I'm going to mess everything up.
Right.
And so like in that moment, I was like, yeah, let me shut the brain off and just listen. And I listened, and it made sense. Heart-wise, it made sense. For a moment, logically, it made sense. Because what he said was, he says, all of us hustle. He's like, we all hustle. There's nothing unique in that. He's like, everybody's hustling. He says, but what I want to know is like, how did you go through all of these different shifts of your identity? We didn't even get to the part of like marriage and divorce and then back together and
Right.
like, business failing and switching businesses and all this.
Right.
All different navigating piece of the identity is like, I want to know how you did that and didn't fall apart. 'Cause there's a
Seriously.
lot of guys and girls that they'll go
Right.
through one of those and they won't come out of it. But he's like, you've done like 20.
You came out of it better every time. It's
And
crazy.
yeah, so that was the idea. And so in that moment, he was like, he gave me the thing. I was like, all right, either I accept this or I make excuses. So my logic brain was like, oh, I see the opportunity. And the other part was like, but, and I was like, no. And so in that moment, I was like, all right. And then I went home and I trashed like 13 courses, got rid of the brand logo and built everything up from a complete scratch. It's quadrupled the business.
It's quadrupled the business.
Quadrupled it.
That's awesome.
Right.
Which is unique in a sense of like I've been pressing my head against a wall for like 4 or 5 years, and then like in a year and a half's time, it's quadrupled.
Wow.
And it's because one, I'd found the message that aligned with the messenger. So
Right.
you got to be a duality, and then I didn't hesitate to shift. So I'm telling people, I'm walking around talking like shift your identity, shift what you do. How could I be that guy if I didn't live that and do that? So I can show you guys the courses that are just sitting dormant, doing nothing now.
Wow.
Because I trashed it. I was like,
13 courses.
yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna, these
Talk
aren't.
about the investment bias, having to overcome that.
Yeah.
That's a big piece of it.
Right.
But I don't have that much anymore.
Right.
Like my wife and I argue a lot because she's not able to do this one thing, which I think if people could figure this out, it'd save so many marriages and stuff. In the moment of an argument, if something's going on, I'm not so invested in my argument, like what I'm trying to put forth. If I realize that I'm wrong in that moment, I anchor to it immediately. Like, oh, you know what? I'm wrong. I'll do that. It's awkward for most people to see it happen. I'm like,
Right.
all right, hey, I'm wrong in this, and I'll say in the moment, and I'll figure it out, and we'll get past it now. It's not a fixing guy mentality thing. It's the fact that I'm like, what's the point of dragging this out
Right.
to have it be later on?
Well, it
Whereas-
ends conflict immediately too.
It
like
does.
I do that with my girlfriend, and it's like then the tone starts to go down, and it's just like there is nowhere to go from here other than
Right.
Fix it.
fix it.
Or figure it out, and it may not happen immediately.
Right.
I have the
Right.
emotional capacity to be capricious enough to like go from angry to like, damn it, you're right. All right, I'm wrong. She doesn't have this yet, so I have to figure out like I'm not figure out. She'll go through a pattern. She'll be angry, and now I know like, hey, just let her do her thing. But like the up and down of it all, like I don't have the investment bias in that capacity. So for me, I always realize that if I have my brain or my heart says something, I gotta trust the gut, because my gut's what I've been refining over the years, my entire life. All of us have.
Right.
It's the millions and millions of touch points of information coming in
Right.
that are going past the subconscious, that are going through it and tucking away, and then something pops up that your conscious didn't catch, but the subconscious is catching it.
Right.
It's got way more data points,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
it's like
40,000
listen. So I
times
just-
the
yeah, so I
amount.
just
Right.
listen to it. I'm like, all right, this makes sense, and I'll shift out of it.
Even
quick.
if you can't logically rationalize it yet.
Yeah, I just know something's off.
Right.
And I'll switch. And so in doing so, if I don't trust that, I know that I'm just causing more pain and prolonging success. So in that moment, I'm like, well, I can easily just be like, no, this is the thing, and then like, shut them off and do my thing.
Yeah.
But then how much longer am I pressing my head against a wall getting no progress because I always want to be stupid and be like, because I could have made amazing excuses and still stayed that route. But then I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
That does make sense, man. I'm gonna go do that. And now I can lean fully into it. Like when I was in the middle of own my gym and speaking, I couldn't grow the speaking. I had to get rid of the gym,
Right.
Because now I was leaned full into one thing. I could serve at a higher level there.
Right.
Speaking of listening to your gut, I don't know if the microphone picked that up, but my stomach just rumbled to the maximum effect.
hella
Oh,
hungry.
yeah.
So we're
it's
gonna
time.
get Anthony some
Hella
in and out.
hungry.
Anything you want to tell the listeners about courses, website, all that happy jazz
About mine or about things they should do with them?
about you and,
Oh, man,
and what they
I
should do
don't-
with them.
Plug
You
away,
guys-
man.
Yeah, go. Here's the thing. There's two types of identities. This leads to all the core stuff anyway. So
Okay.
it's like my thing. It's so I find that there's a slow identity and a go identity. So which happens in life, things happen. Life is what happens between our plans. So in these moments, you have like a moment that'll happen and it'll hit you with an opportunity or a setback or something that's troublesome. And we will either go slow, which means I sit back, I take my time, I got to figure it all out, and I got to concoct a plan. And by the time we've done all of this, it's passed you by.
Right.
Or the problem has got deeper and settled. Like it's settled in deeper into your life because you're just going slow because you want to avoid conflict or pain, whatever it might be. The slow identities, they lose a lot because what ends up happening, it's like I waited for this moment to pass, or I was questioning it so
on
much.
the fence.
Yeah, and so it's
Stay on
like,
the
and it's not
fence.
that you have to. These are people who don't trust their gut. They slow down, and the gut told them something because it always is there. I didn't listen to it. I let my brain come in and mess it all up. And then there's a go identity, which is a problem? You figure it out right now. There's an opportunity? Let's see. Right? And so I go. Those people win. They find solutions faster. They're onto the problem quicker. If there is an issue, it's something that pops up, like they're still going to figure it out. There's a speed at which they move that doesn't scare them because they trust the gut. And they can roll. So if you are in a slow or go identity, and for go, there's multiple tiers. Like I have a go identity. The Rock has a different go identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's different levels of what the tiers are. And so if you go to slowergo.co, you can take the quiz and see where you kind of lean, and it'll give you a breakdown what each one is and where it shows up in your life and how it affects things.
Boom.
Sloworgo.co.
Boom, baby.
Awesome.
You're a great man.
Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you, man.
I appreciate you. It's I don't know. It's surreal, dude. A year ago we saw you on stage, and now you're hanging out with us. So it's
We're
just
getting in and out.
and we're gonna go we'll get in
You
and out. We'll
flicked him
drop
in the
you
back
off.
of the ear during
I
the
did.
event
Yeah, man.
yesterday.
I
It's
thought
just
it was
like-
Alan, and then I was like, that's not Alan. He's bigger than Alan.
Wait, whoa. Yeah, he is. Definitely.
Anything before we go, Alan? I think we're all loopy.
I think it's time to eat.
All right.
I've learned so much from you. That's
Cool, man.
I'm just very grateful, and I know our
Cool.
listeners have learned so much from you, and the identity stuff fascinates the hell out of me. So
Yeah, we got some more coming tomorrow.
hell yeah,
Can't
Oh,
wait.
I can't wait,
It'll be a
wait.
good
Thank
time.
you for doing this.
Yeah,
So,
we
man.
appreciate you.
All right,
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mr. Anthony Trucks.
talk soon.
Deuces.